crafters, and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be showing you the card that I created for Craft Roulette episode number 244. However, it's going to be a little different because I wanted to do a little trial run, because starting in January, Craft Roulette is starting a new show, and you can go learn all about it on that episode number 244, where Mary talks about it. But I'm going to be a guest on that show. And the trick with it is it's going to be kind of laid out like their World Card Making Day. So there's going to be four of us, four guests. And we only have 30 minutes each to create our card. So I'm using this week's video as a little dry run for me to see how quick I am to craft and how much I have to prepare ahead of time. And, am I a quick crafter, a slow crafter? Because I really don't pay attention to that. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be creating the card for that episode so that I can kind of get a feel for what it looks like for when I'm a guest on that show in January. So first thing I think I'll talk about is the project had to be a joyful card. So one thing that I really like about the joyful card that I'm going to create today is it's going to show off both sides of this designer paper. And this paper is called Painted Christmas. It comes from a paper pack called Painted Christmas. And the other thing that I love about this paper is the colors had to be bold and quiet. So I'm calling this my bold side and this my quiet side. So that's another reason why I chose this paper. And then we will continue on with the other parameters as I start creating my card. So for now, let's just go ahead and get the starting process going so I can kind of figure out how long it's going to take me to create this card. Okay, so I've pulled in my pieces here, and the first thing that I need to make a note to myself is that I need to make sure that I have my adhesives ready and that they're not running on empty, because I don't want to run out of adhesive while I'm creating. And then the other thing I thought about was I made little notes to myself on the dimensions of all this stuff and that I wanted to share here today. Now, I don't know that I would do that on the show in January, but for this video I wanted to. So after I was making those little notes, it really made me realize how much I probably need to purchase the Craft Roulette Creative Companion. So then all my notes could be in one place, and then I could, if I wanted to refer back to it, like now sometimes, like what I do now is when I refer back to a card that I want to recreate, I have to go watch my YouTube video. But if I had it in that Creative Companion, that would be really nice. So I think I might invest in that. I don't want to invest in it now because they're giving away stuff from Craft Roulette this month, so I don't want to purchase it and then find out I win it by some great chance. But so I'm going to probably wait on that, but I think preparing for this made me realize how much that would come in handy. Okay, so let's go ahead. This Painted Christmas, I wanted to just share, has Real Red, Pear Pizzazz, Evening Evergreen, Garden Green, Soft Succulent, and Early Espresso and White. Now, Early Espresso isn't in this paper, but it's in part of the other. So I like to know the colors that's in my designer paper so that I can coordinate with my card. So what I'm doing here is I'm just going to make a regular, for my Joyfold, a regular A2. So this is, the regular 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And then my next mat will be the Real Red, which is 5 1/4 by 4. And then my DSP is going to be 5 by 6, and I scored it over here at 2 1/4. And you can put it on this way, or you could put it on this way, depending on what you want to do. I want to do it this way because it's a little different than most Joyful cards. And then the mini card, this piece right here, did I even write that down? I might not have. So what I'll have to do is, oh, maybe I did. Yeah, I did write it down. I called this my mini card. And so this is with Garden Green, and this is 6 3/4, and then 2 3/4, and then I scored it at 3 3/8. And then the parts that I'm going to put on the front and on the inside of this panel, this basic white is 3 1/8 by 2 1/2, and I have 2 of them. So I went ahead, and to save time, I wanted to focus on, I thought it was so funny when I watched the show, how Christine was, when Mary had said that the project was a joyful card, that she heard joyful. So because of that, I decided that I wanted to incorporate that word joyful into my card. So I found this stamp set here called Wonderful Year, and it says wishing you a joyful Christmas. So I thought that would be really cute in honor of Christine not hearing Mary right and thinking she said joyful instead of a joyfold. So that is in honor of Christine. And then for this, and the way I did that too is I did use my Misty for that, because whenever it's big like that, I want to make sure that I get it covered completely. And because I stamped this ahead of time, because the Real Red, for some reason, takes a long time to dry. So I went ahead and I stamped this ahead of time. And I also stamped the sentiment on the inside of my card. And this is where the parameter for the element parameter came into play, where it says, may the happiness of family, the joys of friendship, and the warmth of love surround you this season. Because the element was family. So I have that here in my sentiment for the inside, and then I just added a little piece of that designer paper at the bottom. So that'll go on the inside of my card, not on this little part. And let's see, what else? I didn't want to do a bunch of die cutting because that would take me forever. So I went ahead, and I wanted to show you also before I move on, that sentiment for the inside of my card came from Holly Berry Happiness. And then the way I'm going to decorate my card is with a lot of the stamps and dies from this Merriest Moments. So I went ahead and did a bunch of stamping and die cutting ahead of time so that I wouldn't have to do that here and worry about, taking up more time. So I have some holly leaves and some poinsettias, and I did another little white piece here and these berries. So all of that has been stamped and die cut out. So the part that we're going to work on now is what I want on the front here. So let me pull in because these are photopolymer stamps, I need to have a cushion underneath me. Now this is kind of cushiony, my mat here, but I don't know if it's cushiony enough. So I'm going to go ahead and pull in some stamps that I want to stamp on this. So I'm going to do this fern here, and I'm going to use some garden green. And I know on the show you don't talk about what you're doing, but I don't want to just sit here and not say anything. So, and I might do that here in a little bit when I'm putting the card together, and I could maybe put some music on for you guys. But I'm going to go ahead and do some stamping. Now, since I want this image here to be lighter, I really want it to kind of match this side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in a piece of scrap paper. See, there's another thing I should have had handy. So let me grab that and pull that in, because I want to do some like third generation stamping, because in order to match that quiet part of my DSP, I want it to be, you know, really, really light. So I'm going to ink this up, and then I'm going to stamp it off on my scrap paper twice, and then I'm going to come in and just kind of start adding it to this piece. So that kind of gets a little more lighter, and hopefully once it dries, it's going to match closer to, see how it's going to match closer to that. Now it got a little darker there, but that's okay. We've, you know, it'll all work out. So I'm going to do that again, and I'm going to off stamp it, and then add a little bit more of that up here. And then maybe, do I want to add more, or do I want to go with something else? I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in this other foliage, and I'm going to stamp it, but this time I'm going to do it in the bold color of the garden green. And I'm probably going to put like one there, and then probably another one down here. So I'm kind of just building my little scene here. And then maybe I'll do one up in this corner. Then I'm going to bring in the smaller fern like this and do again some stamping off a couple times over here. And I'm going to put these down in this corner. I think I want to do it this way, because I want to see, because I'll probably be covering it up with some of that poinsettia. So let's do that again, and just add another little bit of that over here. Okay, I don't remember if I off-stamped that twice or not, but I think once it dries, it'll be closer to that paper on that side. And then I'm going to bring in, I want to add a little bit of red. So I'm going to bring in my real red and do some of these little speckles. And maybe I'll, let's see, off stamp it once and kind of just put a little over here. And then if I want it darker, maybe I should bring this in so I don't get my thing all full of ink. I just think this will be so cute. I'm trying to think, do I want any over here? Maybe. Maybe I'll do a little bit more right here. And then just a tad bit in this corner. Okay, So there is the base for me to start building onto my scene here that I want to create. So I'm going to go ahead and figure out how I want to lay these out. And maybe something like this. And maybe put this smaller one like down the middle. I think that'll be cute. So let me go ahead and start figuring out how I want to arrange those. And it's always funny because I looked at it when I was looking at this and I was like, well, I don't know which is the top or bottom, but I wasn't going to worry about it. I'll just go ahead and lay it down here and we'll go from there. Okay, so I've got that one down. Now let's do the bigger one. Or the medium size one. It's bigger than the last one, basically. And I'll put that there. And then this little one. And that'll go there. Then I need to bring in my little berries. And how I want to lay them, I don't know. Maybe like that. That's pretty cute. Okay. So there we have that corner. Now I think I want my poinsettia to be popped up. So I'm going to go ahead and at first I had stamped the inside of them with the that lighter green that I was focusing on, but I changed my mind, and so I'm going to just go, because we're not even going to see that. So I'm just going to go ahead and glue this down. In the middle here somehow. That's cute. Then I'm going to take, I die cut just this out of basic white, and I just thought that would be really cute there in the middle. So let me add a little bit of glue there. And then maybe I'll let this dry, and then I'll start putting my card together. Got a little too much glue there in the middle. Then what I might do, although I'll have to run and get them because I forgot to bring them out, put a little gem there in the middle. So I might pause the video here at the end and then get that those embellishments out. So then the next thing, though, before I start putting the card together, the random had to be ribbon. So I found this Real Red and Garden Green ribbon pack that I had. Never used it, so I pulled it out. And I thought it would really be cute to add some ribbon here at an angle. So I think that is what I'm going to do. And then I'll just wrap it around the back side and glue that down. So I just thought that would be cute to add some ribbon to that like that. So I think what I'll do is, you always wonder, how am I going to put this down? I could use, maybe I'll use a little bit of tear and tape from one of my paper pumpkin kits. That might be good, because I always have extra of that. So let me see how I want this to look. I'll go ahead and kind of put it where I want it. And then wrap it around. Let's see if I could get that to stay in place there. I might have to, maybe on the other part, when I wrap it around. Yeah, I think that's gonna be so cute. Okay. So let me, yeah, that should work. So get some more of this tear and tape. And kind of hold it down there and take a look at it so that I make sure that I like it. I just think that I'm not a big fan of adding bows to my cards because of the knot in the bow, but I don't mind adding ribbon like this. And in one of the Paper Pumpkin kits, one of the recent ones, I really liked how they have the ribbon just flat like that and cut at an angle. And then that way, again, you're just adding a little bit of, I probably shouldn't have taken that backing off yet because I'm not ready. I don't think I'm ready to put it down. Or maybe I can. Let's just pull this in. I think I can probably adhere that down now. So I'm going to pull this off again and get some adhesive out. And we'll go ahead and put this to the front of that little card. Okay, let's see if I can get this. That's why I do like liquid glue, because it gives me a little wiggle room. I probably should have put some liquid glue on the tear and tape too to allow me to move it around, but I didn't. But I think I'm able to get it. So there we go, there's that. So now let's go ahead and get the rest of the card put together. I think I'm done stamping, but I'll just set that aside. And I'm gonna go ahead and adhere this to my card base. And let's see how that looks. Looks pretty good. Okay, then, since I want this to be like this, and then this is gonna be my joyfold, I'm just gonna test it here to see what I'm doing. I don't wanna, let me just go ahead and adhere this down. And then you're always like worried, am I gonna mess this up? Okay. So let's put this down. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. All right. So now it's time to put this down. But first, I want to adhere this to the inside here. So I'm going to put that. I just thought that was so cute when she said joyful. So I just had to do it. But it's going to make this card very cute as well. And there we go. So now, oops, let's go ahead and figure out how I'm going to put this. I guess the trick is lining it up like this wherever I want it. Okay, so I think for this, because it's a little heavier, I'm going to add some tape as well as liquid glue, because this has a lot more weight to it. So I'm going to add both to just make sure it has some good adhesion here. And that way, okay, so there we go. Now, I'll just figure out where a good place would be to put this, giving it, trying to center it the best I can. There we go. And then that'll go like that. Now for this, I want to pop it up. So let me bring in my pop dots. And maybe I need to bring in some mini ones as well. These are from my paper pumpkin kit, because I want it to be stable. Some people might say that's just too many Stampin' Dimensionals, but I want it to be stable so that it doesn't get squished on one side more than the other. So there we go. I think that'll be cute. And get all these backings off. That's always the challenge. And then you find these all over the house because they fall on the floor and they stick to your feet. And I go upstairs and I'm finding them everywhere. Okay. So I'm going to put this down in this corner. Oh, I just think that's so cute. Okay. So there we go. Now I'm just going to get the inside of my card, and I had already stamped my back. And I told myself, make sure that you look at that first before you start assembling your cards, because you don't want it upside down. And I didn't do that. I just lucked out that it's in the right place there. So now I'm going to bring in the inside that I've already prepared. And I don't know why, on the inside, for some reason, I always just use the snail adhesive, because sometimes I have seen the pattern of the glue like pop through when you use too much, and like you'll see it. And I'm like, I don't want that. So, okay. This Joyfold is giving me grief there. Okay, so now, and I like to do it this way so that I can try to get at least 3 sides of the margins the same, the best that I can, and hope that when I lay it down that it's going to be straight. So there we go. There's the inside. There's my Joyfold. So now all I need is those embellishments there. So I'm going to get up and grab my little container here. That I like to keep all my or not all of them. I try to keep my current ones in one place and my retired ones in another. But then that sometimes doesn't happen because I don't move them around when I'm supposed to. So I know in here somewhere I have some really cute red adhesives. So let me try to find them. See, now this is, oh, I think they're right there. So, sorry about my head getting in the way there. All right. So let's get one of these out and get take your pick tool and pull off one of these rhinestones. put him in the middle there. Oh my goodness, that is so cute. Okay, so I think our card is done. And I think I've covered all the parameters, but we'll go over them. So it's a joyful card. This opens up like that. And again, I love this one particular because I can see both sides of the designer paper. I love that. I love any kind of card where I can do that because so many times I like both sides and I hate having to cover it up. So there's the joyful card. And then bold and quiet colors. Well, this side of the designer paper is bold. And this side is the quiet. So there we go with the colors. The element family, well, that's in the sentiment on the inside. May the happiness of family, the joys of friendship, and the warmth of love surround you this season. So there's the element and then the random of ribbon. Well, there it is. I put that ribbon there at an angle on the front of my card. I think I've got it all covered and it looks like, oh, I think I did pretty good on time. It's about, my clock there is saying like 28 minutes. So I'm glad that I went ahead and did a lot of the stamping and die cutting ahead of time. So this is giving me a good feel of what I'm going to need to do when it comes to that show in January. Because sometimes I get a little carried away with stuff on my cards. And I like a lot of things on my cards. And I don't want to have to be doing all that stamping and die cutting. That will just eat up time like crazy. So there we go. There is my card for Craft Roulette episode number 244. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed the card. And if you did, you can show me your joy by giving this video a thumbs up. Okay, well, until my next video, have fun crafting, everyone. And remember, choose joy, and may God bless you all. Bye-bye.